What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the Modern Jack channel. Now, if you notice behind me, I'm not in my normal location. I'm actually in Nashville en route to Atlantic City for the weekend. This whole trip is for a specific travel hack that I wanted to tell you about. I'm going to show you how I turned $100 into at least one cruise, if not more. Now, to give you a little bit of background on how this whole travel hack works, it basically takes advantage of status matches that you can get between hotels and casinos and all different locations. But Atlantic City is primarily the center where you can take full advantage of this whole merry-go-round, as they call it, of status matches. And the journey started back in January by picking up the Wyndham Earners business card with a $95 annual fee. Now, this credit card in itself doesn't come with what I would say a ton of good perks. You get some sweet upgrades at Wyndham hotels, welcome amenity at certain ones, some upgrades on rental cars, but really those aren't true value, I'd say. They're potential value if you decide to take advantage of them, but overall that's not super valuable. We did actually get 45,000 points when we used the card for spending in the first 3 months, and I just generally used it for my own spending and was able to hit those numbers. That really varies depending on the person, but I'll show you how that really factored into the trip as a whole as well. So we did pick up the 45,000 points, but the real benefit of the Wyndham credit card that we picked up was that you get diamond status with Wyndham. And this really starts the whole merry-go-round of status matches. Now, I went ahead and took the Wyndham diamond status and was able to go online and get Caesars to match to their diamond status as well. And that was really the start of this journey. That's really all we've done up to this point, but the rest happens in Atlantic City. In this video, I'll show you how we take that initial Wyndham diamond status and match across other casinos and hotels in Atlantic City to ultimately get to a free cruise and possibly more. Stay tuned to see all the different perks and benefits that we get out of this. And if you like this video or any other content that I put on YouTube, please subscribe and leave a comment below just how much you enjoy this and if you take advantage of this travel hack as well. Now, as I go along this travel hack journey, I want to just be above board as much as possible and tell you all the different costs that went into this trip as well. So you do have to factor in the travel to Atlantic City to take full advantage of this, and I definitely want to talk about that. So in order to get there, had to make sure we booked some hotels in Atlantic City as well as get the travel there. So I just happened to be in Nashville, so I booked a flight with Southwest from Nashville direct to Philadelphia, and I booked that with Southwest directly but used points. So with that, I'll show on the screen just how many points went into it. I already had those points just from prior travel and prior redemptions that I had, but I'll show you the price of the ticket versus what we paid in points. For the return leg of the journey, I went ahead and booked an American Airlines flight back home from Philadelphia. Now, this flight, again, would have cost as much as you see on the screen, but I booked it through British Airways because I got the best value out of my points by booking on British Airways for American Airlines. Now, we had 2 nights that we were staying in Atlantic City and Philadelphia. We felt like the first night was best to go ahead and stay in Atlantic City, and so we booked a night at the Harrah's Casino in Atlantic City. We used our points that we had gained from the Wyndham credit card already, and so the night was ultimately free for us as well. And then for the last night, we felt like it was better to be back closer to Philadelphia for our flights, so we went ahead and booked a night at a Hyatt Place in Mount Laurel close to Philadelphia, and that only cost us 5,000 Hyatt points, which I already had as well. All in all, that really should cover the majority of our travel plans to get to Atlantic City. When we get there, we really only have to worry about food. So hopefully you'll see as we go along in this video that food was free as well based on the benefits we got. Stay tuned to see how the weekend went. So our first stop before we actually head to Atlantic City is to stop at the Harrah's in Philadelphia. We actually want to stop here first so that we can pick up our physical Caesars Diamond cards, and hopefully we can use this to get a couple matches at a few casinos in Philadelphia before we head on to Atlantic City. Alright, so we just finished up at the Harrah's in Philadelphia. We were able to get our diamond cards from Caesars. We just need to pick up the physical cards and look for the expiration date. That's important to note. So far it looks like we were able to get a $100 dining credit with it. We were hoping we might be able to switch it to free play and be able to use that instead for better value, but looks like we can just use a dining credit at any of the Caesars locations, any restaurants that they have or otherwise. So we'll be using that later. It also comes with some other perks, including I know a few nights at the Atlantis in the Bahamas. just look at the screen and I'll have a bunch of details up about all the benefits and perks that come with this card. Our next stop is the Live Casino in Philadelphia. We're hoping to get black status there. All right, so we just finished up at the Live Casino. We did request a status match, but problem was that they say they send it in the mail, so we won't really know what we got status match until later. I can put that in a later video, hopefully, but we'll have to wait to see that. We did get $10 in free play. We went ahead and cashed that in, just enjoyed a little bit of slot play, but that was about it. Now we're headed to the Rivers Casino in Philly while we're still here. Alright, so we're finally at the Harrah's Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City where we're going to be staying for the night. We finished up in Philly at the Rivers Casino, and we were able to get a platinum card matched there. Now, a couple things that it came with: we did get to spin a wheel and get free play anywhere from $5 to $250. Our group, we got $750 up to $10, so not a ton, but we did get to play with that a little bit and picked up some extra cash there. It looks like we should also get another MSC cruise with that match. We'll confirm for sure, and if it is there, you'll see the price of it on the screen here. I'll tally that as well. But now we're in Atlantic City, so tomorrow will be the Borgata, the Hard Rock Casino, and the Oceans Casino at least. All right, so we're at the Hard Rock Casino. That's our first stop of the day today. It's a little rainy outside, so I'm just taking the shot inside. There's a little bit of background noise too, but here we're hopefully getting the Rock Royalty status with Hard Rock. Now they are potentially changing their reward system next month, so this might be the last chance to get this one here, but theoretically it should work today, so we'll see what we get. Alright, so we just finished up at the Hard Rock. We were able to get the Rock Royalty still. I think that is supposed to change in April, but it's March 25th today, and we were still able to get it. So that gave us $50 in free play, and we technically could get access to the Legends Lounge. However, it required 10 comp dollars, and free play doesn't count for that. So we just went ahead and skipped that on this one. We did play with a free play and just picked up some money, but we didn't get any comp dollars from that. This also does come with 2 free nights here just at the Hard Rock in Atlantic City. You do have to book it in the first 90 days, so we might use that, we might not. That's kind of potential value. Next stop is the Oceans Casino. So we parked over there. We're going to head back over there. We parked there just because we could get free parking for sure. With the Hard Rock, we weren't sure if we'd get parking ahead of time. We needed the status already, but we didn't have that yet. So going back over there, hopefully we should get matched their higher status, and we'll see what we get there as well. Alright, so we just finished up at the Oceans Casino. We were able to match to their Prime status, which does get us a free cruise. Now it looks like our status is good through next year, so it'll renew in July for us, and then that's good again until June of 2024. So we might be able to get 2 cruises potentially if we book one early before June, and then another after that. We did also get $10, or sorry, not even $10. We got a voucher basically to go to the Avila Lounge. So we did that and had brunch there. It was a pretty good meal. It's nice when it's free. And we could potentially go back to that if we had comp dollars, but we weren't going to gamble here necessarily. We did also get these sweet shirts from the Oceans Casino. That was another freebie with the status. Not that that's what we went for, but hey, you know, it's a nice thing to add to the collection. Next, we'll be headed to the Borgata, and that's really our last stop for the day. We've already got the cruise, but we're going to go ahead and get gold status there with the Oceans Casino status, and we can also match that to Hyatt later. All right, so we were able to make it back from Atlantic City, and our last stop was at the Borgata, where we were able to achieve MGM Gold status as well. Now, the MGM Gold status didn't really do a whole lot for us in terms of free play or extra value, but the reason we got MGM Gold status was actually that it helps us in actually matching to additional cruises with other cruise lines beyond what we were able to get at the casinos we went to. Stay tuned, we're going to try to do a video on how those matches go and what additional value we get from this. But while we were at the Borgata, we decided to go ahead and have dinner there, and we used My Vegas to get some additional credits before the trip so that we could cover the meals there. So we had a great meal at the Amphora Lounge, and we had some additional credit left over. Now, we were hoping that we were able to use this for free play, but with MGM going from M Life Rewards to MGM Rewards sometime around November of 2022, we weren't actually able to transfer those points to free play and use up the rest we had. So instead, we just ended up using the rest of the credits to purchase souvenirs at a couple of the different shops within the Borgata. So how much value did we actually get out of this trip? Well, I do want to start with talking about the costs that went into the trip. So we started in January with getting the Wyndham Earners business card, and that had a fee of $95. I won't count this in the value of things, but we did actually have to purchase flights and one of the hotel nights during our stay there, and we didn't use anything that we gained from the trip. So I actually used Southwest points to fly up to Atlantic City, and I used British Airways points to fly American back home afterwards. Each of those had a fee of $5.60, so I'll add roughly $11 to the mix here. And we actually flew into Philadelphia en route to Atlantic City, so we needed to rent a car. Well, we decided to go ahead and rent a Tesla just for the fun of it, and it really was pretty close to the same cost as renting a gas-powered vehicle. We kind of did this as a test to see how much it would cost in charging versus gas en route, and we've got to enjoy the vehicle as well. All in all, that came to about $200 in cost. Beyond that, booking the room at the Harrah's for the first night did have a slight fee just related to taxes, and we did split this between three of us, so I'll just put it at a third of the cost, which was roughly $3 for me. All right, so let's get to some of the value that we actually got back from this trip. Now, some of the things were split between three of us, so when I show you these numbers, this is only a third of the value that we actually got back. It's roughly the third that I got in value back from it. So as I go through the additional value, I do want to break it out into the immediate value that we received on the trip and the potential value that you'll get from the travel going forward. So let's start with the live casino in Philadelphia. Now, we don't actually know what status we got yet, but we're assuming we'll most likely get black status, and I'll update with a comment just telling whether we do get that status eventually. But while we were at the casino, we did get $10 in free play. That equated to about $5 each in value after we used it. Now, one of the best places we went to for matching our status was the Rivers Casino. We were able to get somewhere between $5 and $250 in free play. Now, that came out to about $10 each again. That, again, after using, turned out to be about $5 in value. But the big thing was the up to 10-day cruise with MSC. Now, this was the better of the two cruises we got because it did say that we could cruise anywhere that MSC cruises up to a 10-day cruise for free. Now, they cruise to Europe and to many other locations beyond just the Caribbean, so this is a pretty valuable cruise that we'll definitely try to take advantage of. If you do decide to go on this matching journey in Atlantic City, I highly recommend stopping at the Rivers Casino on the way and using your Caesars Diamond status to try to get matched there. Now, the next stop along our journey was the Hard Rock Casino in Atlantic City, where we did receive Rock Royalty status. This came with $50 in free play that again equated to roughly $40 each in value after using it. And we technically received a few complimentary nights at the casino. However, we weren't able to use that on the trip since you can't book it right away. We did take advantage of the valet parking there, which was an additional freebie that we got as part of it. And since we rented a car in Atlantic City, we were able to take advantage of valet parking there for free. Moving on to the Oceans Casino, we were able to take the Rock Royalty status from Hard Rock and match to Oceans Prime there. And this is where the second free cruise came in. Now, the second free cruise that we received was just up to 7 days with MSC, and it was Caribbean only. We do have through June to book this one, and potentially we have another free cruise after June through the next June in 2024. We were able to get a voucher for the Avila Lounge where we had breakfast, and that was covered. We were also able to receive a 2-night stay at the Wynn in Las Vegas with a $50 dining credit to be used. And we again got free valet parking while we were at the Oceans Casino. Finally, we received free valet parking at the MGM Borgata with our MGM Gold status. And technically you can achieve a $100 celebration dinner, but it does require getting a certain number of tier credits before you qualify. We can add on what we got in value from My Vegas for dining credit at the Borgata. One of our vouchers was for $25 and the other was for $39. So we ended up with $64 in value for eating at the Amphora Lounge and for shopping for souvenirs. Now, with our Wyndham card, we ended up with somewhere between 40 and 50,000 points that we then transferred to Caesars to use while we were there as well. We felt like the best value was at the casino since we can't really use those points in most of the locations that we're at. Some of those points went to the first night stay, and then the rest of the points were primarily used for food and free play. We had a $350 dinner at the Gordon Ramsay Steakhouse. We went for drinks at the Laurel Lounge the first night and lunch the next day at a second Laurel Lounge at Caesars in Atlantic City. We went ahead and got coffee in the morning at Starbucks and used our points there. And we cashed in the rest as free play at the casinos and went ahead and used that just on a simple game. We played video poker mostly, but that came out to roughly $360 in value back from the rest of the points. One last caveat to the Caesars Diamond status. Technically, the Caesars Diamond status comes with a $100 celebration dinner. However, out of the 3 of us, only 2 of us were able to receive that. We were trying to figure out why it might have been that 2 of us got the dinner credit and 1 did not. And the best we can come up with is it had to do with when we had opened Caesars accounts. Now, I personally have had a Caesars account for 7 or 8 years at least. I originally got it in Las Vegas, and I was the one who wasn't able to get the $100 dining credit. What they told us is that I needed to achieve about $100 in tier credits before I could actually qualify for the celebration dinner. However, my 2 friends who had both opened their accounts either a month prior or 6 months prior were able to get the $100 celebration dinner credit without achieving those same tier credits. One of them had about 17 tier credits, but that still doesn't meet the 100 tier credits, and the other had 0 tier credits. So we can't really explain why. Best guess is that if you just recently opened a Caesars account, you're more likely that you'll be able to get the celebration dinner credit as well. So all in all, I had to pitch in about $180 out of my pocket for the trip. But at the end of that, the value that we received back immediately was roughly $1,300, with some of that being cash to offset our expenses. And the potential value when you factor in the hotel stays at the Wynn and the Hilton in Las Vegas, as well as the 2 free cruises, it can come out to a value of almost $12,000 so far. Now, I do want to say that hopefully in the next month or 2, we should know if we match to additional cruises and the value only adds from there. This could be potentially $25,000 worth of value starting out with a $100 annual fee on a credit card. It's a pretty powerful deal. I hope you feel the same, and I hope others can take advantage of the deals that we were able to find here. With that, thanks for listening in. I hope this was a valuable video. I hope that you can go and travel hack just the same way as this and take advantage of this opportunity. Until next time.